There we go. All right, perfect. So, like I said, everybody, we are on session 14 of Win with Buyers. There are some things that I have to go through, and we'll agree that we went through these slides. Okay, perfect. Here we go. We read that one, right? The thumbs up. Okay, we went through this one with a comb, and we got through everything on this one. All right, perfect. This one too, we went through that and we had a deep conversation on making sure we follow fair housing and the C and the cam spam, right? Big thing, but I will say this is that we our industry is under attack, so we have to make sure that we are following the do not call list. Like we have to be on that. I know here in Illinois, I'm not sure about other places, that it's a $5,000 fine per occurrence. Not if I call 100 people, it's $5,000 for all. No, it's $5,000 times 100. So, and that with that being the case, we want to make sure that we stay on top of things, and we need to get more of a agreement from people because there's a situation that recently happened where an individual actually put their contact information in because they wanted somebody to contact them, and then when somebody contacted them they sued them. And that's a whole thing that's going on where they're trying to figure out like, hey, no, you gave the information, so why are you upset? So again, we want to make sure that we just stay on top of these things because at the end of the day, I don't know about y'all, but I don't have $5,000 just to be given away to somebody. Okay, so perfect. We just got to make sure we stay on top of that. All right, now we're going into the transaction part of things. You all have made it all the way up until this point. You are the real estate expert. You talked about lead generation, lead follow up. Now it's time for you to kind of reap the rewards of all the work that you've done. And we're going to go into winning the buyer. The transaction, we have lead generation, lead follow up, and then transaction. Today is the first day of the transaction, the fourth and final segment of Ignite. So we're going into the last phase of Ignite. You all are going to graduate and you're ready to build a big business or continue to grow your business that you've grown. Our agenda today, like we talked about at the beginning, we're going to go into A buyers. And then we're going to talk about how to get the appointments with them, prepare for the buyer consultation. So remember, I am going to share my buyer questionnaire form that I sent to buyers before meeting with them. I'm going to show you that. Talking about preparing for the buyer consultation and then conducting the buyer consultation. I'm going to also show you all my actual buyer consultation that I use for buyers. And we're going to talk about getting a signed agreement. We already know after August of last year, everybody's supposed to have a signed broker agreement signed before they show properties and do that. I will say that part of it, I am very much, I was in agreements to because buyers will try to work with you and their cousin and then somebody they just saw on Facebook and you've spent time with them. So we need to make sure we had a some type of protection to help us along the way. Then we're gonna go over the recap and ahas, and then we'll be done for the day. Sounds good? Hey, perfect. Gary Keller, the right approach to close for appointment meeting is the only approach. Just ask for it. I will say this to you all: there are a lot of agents, and if you are one of them, we got to work through it. There's a lot of agents that's just afraid to ask for the appointment. There are some people, and it may be some people on here where they can talk to anybody. They can have a conversation with strangers. They don't have no problem talking to people. But when it's time to talk about business and getting an appointment, they just have a hard time doing it. So we want to make sure we ask for the appointment. The only way we can get something is if we ask for it, right? It's like that thing, closed mouths don't get fed. Well, a closed mouth in real estate won't get your bills paid, right? A closed mouth in real estate won't get you the trip that you want to go on. We are in a contact sport. The more people we talk to, the bigger business that we will create. Okay. Now let's go into starting with working with the A buyers. You learned in the last session about qualifying buyers and why that's so important for you and for your buyers. Now I want to go into making sure are you are tagging your clients in the right space where they need to be tagged. What is an A buyer? So we already know an A buyer is somebody who needs to purchase a home from 0 to 30 days, and they are able, ready, and willing. Able, ready, and willing, that means they have their finances together. They don't have anything holding them back as far as, oh, my lease, I'm on a 1 year lease, or, I can't move because of school. No, everything is lined up. They can move within the next 30 days, their finances together, and they're actually willing to move. Now, when we look at this on the screen, this is what we talk about our lead capture. We're prospecting and marketing. I'm going to go through this pretty quick because I'm pretty sure you already went through this during past sessions, but this is your bucket of making sure your database is still flowing. So you capture a lead, you either done it by prospecting or marketing, and you add them into your database. The leads is somewhere you form the relationship. Contacts, you're strengthening an existing relationship. Okay. Then it moves down to 3, prepare contacts for conversion, interactive, and needs-based offerings. So again, we are constantly staying on top of our database. We have to, okay? And then it goes to new and repeat referrals, and this is the cycle that just constantly goes on and on and on. There's another course that we have in KW. It's called Win the Buyer, which this section is pulled from. And that course goes over the 7-step buyer service cycle, where it starts with leads to appointments. You get that lead to appointment, you prepare for the buyer consultation, you have the buyer consultation, you help them find a home, offers and negotiation, get them contract to close, and then you have the post close systems. This is a little bit off topic, but it's on topic. We have to make sure that we do not neglect our clients once they close. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to represent a buyer, they're going to close a property, you're going to give them a closing gift, and then you may send them a holiday card. There's going to be an agent like me who's the listing agent that's going to add that buyer to my database, and I'm going to tag them as an orphan client. And guess who's going to get an anniversary card? Who's going to get all of this? Your client, where your past client is going to get that from me, because once the transaction is closed, that partnership between you and that buyer is no longer there, and they can be reached out to by another agent. Right? So you want to make sure your post-close systems is in order, because the worst thing that you can have happen is you log on to Facebook and you see somebody saying, "Hey, I just listed this house," and there's a picture of the house of somebody you helped buy. Trust me, I've been through that. I went on Facebook before and I'm like, that house looks familiar. And I'm like, that address, I know that address. And what made it even worse, it was listed with an agent that I'm friends with. So I'm like, okay. And I couldn't be mad at anybody but myself, because guess what? When I helped that client buy that house, I gave them their closing gift and I didn't stay in contact with them. I didn't stay in relationship with them. So again, post-close systems is very important to make sure you are creating clients for life. You help them buy the home, you also need to become the one-stop shop for anything they need. They need a referral for lawn care, they know they can call you. They need a referral for HVAC, they know they can call you. They need their gutters cleaned, they can call you. Hell, they need recommendations for after school programs for their kids. They know they can call you, because guess what? You are the professional that can help connect them to anything they need. Okay? So again, We want to make sure our postcode systems are in order so we're not losing our potential listing to somebody else. And as realtors, what we do is we see one of our old clients sell a house, we go see how much it sold for, then we start calculating, fees, and then we start thinking how much we just lost because we didn't stay in communication with them. Okay, so we don't want to have that happen. All right. I'm not gonna ask you all for ahas right now because we really didn't go through that much. But after the next round, we're gonna go through. I'm gonna ask you for some. Now, getting an appointment. Keys to converting your A buyers. Respond right away to lead inquiries. Again, if it's somebody that is potentially an A buyer, we need to be the first person they talk to because I don't know if you realize or not, even though there has been a lot of agents that's left the business, there are still a lot of real estate agents. You are not the only real estate agent that the people on your Facebook or in your database know. That person is probably in three or four more other real estate agents' database. So if they inquire about anything, we need to get on them right away. Okay. Next part, get valid and complete contact information, save it to a command, and create an opportunity. Now, when we get the complete contact information, we need phone number, mailing address, and email. The reason why we want all of this because for me, I am a texter. You may call me and I never answer the phone, and 2 seconds later you text me and I respond right away, like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like I didn't even see your call come through. Right? There's some people that will respond only to email. So again, we need to make sure we have all contact information because until we know what their personality type is, until we know what their communication style is, we need to be able to contact them in every different way. Phone, text, email to be able to stay in front of them. Then three, determine their motivation to buy so you can speak to it. This is very big. When I show you all my buyer questionnaire, there's going to be some questions on there that you probably be like, why are you asking that? Because we need to get beyond surface level with our people, right? We don't just, if somebody say they want a big backyard, we don't just say, okay, perfect, a big backyard. No, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, why is a big backyard important to you? Well, Jesse, I like to have family over. Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. What does having family over do for you? Well, Jesse, we like to have family over because my parents are a little bit older and we don't know how much time we'll have with them. If we have a big backyard, we can have family events where all of our family can come over and we can spend as much time together as possible. Bingo, now I got the true motivation. They don't want a big backyard just to have a big backyard. They want the big backyard because what it will mean for them and their family to have everybody together at one time, enough space to spend that quality time with their parents because they don't know how much longer their parents are going to be here. So we need to get that true motivation. You need to purchase because you don't want stairs. Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. Well, my family members had hip replacement and they won't be able to do the stairs. So the reason we don't want stairs is because we don't want to have them trying to go up and down the stairs. We don't want to have it to be a fall risk. Bingo, we got the true motivation. So when we're asking these questions, we need to get the motivation behind why they're purchasing and why they want to purchase what they want to purchase. Here's what this is going to do for you and your relationship. This is going to make your relationship stronger with your buyer because these are questions that the average agent that they talk to wouldn't ask. They'll just say they want a big backyard and they'll just say, okay, perfect. I'll look for something with a big backyard. But you cared enough to know why that's important to them. When we show that we care the why behind things, these are going to create clients for life. They're going to turn from clients to family that's going to refer you everybody they know because you showed how much you cared. I don't know if you all are familiar with Jason Abrams. He says, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. When you're able to show them that you care, why they want what they want, they are willing to stick with you through anything. Okay. And then number 4, set an appointment, time and date for as soon as possible. Now, as soon as possible is what works best for your schedule. I'll just be honest with you. There's a lot of people that's dual career where you have to figure things out as soon as possible, but it works best for your schedule because for one, I don't want you doing buyer consultations while you're in the car or you're outside somewhere and it's background noise. No, I want you to be in a place where you can give them your undivided attention and they see that it is important to you that you are showing up in the best version for them. Okay? Any questions or anything about this before I move on to the next one? Or if anybody want to add anything. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so new agent, just about 2 or 3 weeks in. I have a question. Like, what would you consider a great meeting spot besides the office with a buyer, or even well, seller would probably be the home, but what about a buyer? What's another place other than the office?
So for me, the best thing that came out of the pandemic is all of my buyer consultations since the pandemic has been virtually. Because for me, where my office is located is kind of like downtown Chicago, and I service so much. I won't have somebody that's looking for in a suburb 45 minutes away drive downtown Chicago to meet. So for me, a lot of mines are virtually because again, they get off work, they make it home, they can fix dinner for the family, for the kids, and then they can get situated. Then we can have our consultation.
Great idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Yep, you can go.
Me, Humberto?
Yep.
Okay. You're saying when it's most available for you, and let me tell you what I used to do. I used to be what time is best for you, and I had to make that show that I was not busy. And they said, oh, whenever it's okay. No, tell me a time, I'll be available. So
Yep.
that kind of lower my standards of myself. So now what I do is tell me what time is best for you to see if I have an opening on my calendar. So right now I'm open tomorrow at 3 o'clock or the following day at 4. Which one is best for you?
Yep.
I push for an appointment by tomorrow, and I give him two choices: tomorrow at 3 o'clock or the day after at 4 o'clock. What's
Yep.
best for you?
And I'm glad you said that. Thanks for that. So let me clarify what I meant, and I'm glad you pointed that out. So when I said what's best for you, I meant for you as the agent.
Yes, thank you.
That's what I meant. So thanks for letting me know that because I should have explained that a little bit better. So when I say, hey, what's best for you, I meant you as the agent. What is best for you in your schedule? And then, like Humberto said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I have this time available or this time available. Which time works best for you? So thanks for pointing that out so I can clarify that. Thank you. Okay. I saw one more hand up. Was it Joe?
Yeah, yeah. My question was more around you set up an appointment. Yes, they are your A buyers, but what if they stand you up, or between the time you set up an appointment, they find another friend who is a real estate agent and they're like, oh, you know what? We'll probably go with that person. How do you deal with situations like that and make them come back to you?
Well, so well, I would say for me, it's a little bit different with buyers than sellers. Like with sellers, I can maneuver through that. When it comes to buyers, it's a little hard because
Mhm.
especially you don't have the buyer agreement, broker agreement signed, and their cousin like, oh, I'll go show you the house right now. That's something I can't compete with because I'm not just gonna drop everything I'm doing just to go show them a house right then and there. What I would say is just be like, hey Joe, I understand that you're gonna decide to work with your cousin. I completely understand that. What I will tell you is if things don't go as planned, please feel free to reach out to me because I would love to be of service to you. I don't want to step on any toes, but when you go to the doctor, sometimes you get a second opinion, right?
Mhm.
Well, I want to leave you the option to have a second opinion. If things don't go right there, I am more than willing to help you.
Okay.
Because here's what happens is, I don't know if you all dealt with or not. working with family sometimes is the worst thing to do, because family does not look at you as the real estate professional. They look at you as cousin Jesse or nephew Jesse, or they look at you like that. So they think they can get away with some things. And it's something always gonna may come up. So just say, hey, I'm gonna be here for you. If things doesn't go as planned, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Because when you use a script like that, even with your sellers, and things don't go right, they're gonna think about you and they're gonna come back to you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Alex and then Jeff.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to speak on the MacBooks, but sometimes they act funny. But I had to comment on that family comment because I don't know if you know that you were preaching because I definitely have like my first two leads since the first week of this Ignite. I text a family friend who I didn't expect to want to buy so quickly. And I also text a family member who has been like, always in my ear, just chatting it up this entire time I'm trying to get my license. And it's like you can always tell who's serious because with the family friend, I'm like, okay, when do you want to meet? When do you want to talk? And she's like, Thursday, this time. And then with the family member, it's like, oh, I'll call you this week. No time, no date, no nothing. And it's like all this time you were in my ear acting like you were ready for me to go. And now that I'm ready to go, now you're slow to move your feet. So I definitely felt like you were just preaching to the choir because family members have been the most annoying part of being a new agent because it's like they were acting like they were people you could bet on as soon as you got the license. And now that you got the license, it's coming from people you least expected. So that
Yep.
really resonated.
Yeah, and that's so true. So just imagine that agent that's finna go work with their cousin or their other
I'm
family.
waiting for it too. I waited for them to just find a different agent out of nowhere. Like I wasn't here for all of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So, like I said, when it comes to that situation, okay, hey, I just want you to know that if things do not go as planned, you can reach out to me, and I'll be here to help you, because they're gonna bump heads.
Yeah.
Family members bump heads, so you'll just be there, and when they're ready, they'll come back to you.
Yeah, and just like you said, they look at you in certain ways. So, like in my situation, I'm the niece. So it's like they kind of look at you like, oh, that's just, regardless that I'm pushing 30.
Yep. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, just to comment on, you said something that triggered for me. Well, the idea of chasing business. I did 6 months of Zillow leads and dropping everything I was doing at the moment of a hat to try to be, everything for those clients that were so fickle and would move on to another agent just because you shook their hand wrong. I'm making something up. I mean, it was absolutely intense. The thing is, what it taught me was I know what I bring to this business. I know what I'm capable of. I know that I can get you a good deal. If you don't want to work with me, good luck. You might find a better deal somewhere else with someone else. It just wasn't meant to be for us. I think the thing that I fell prey to, that a lot of us probably do in the beginning, was chasing every single possible deal under the sun, just trying to drum up some business, not realizing that we were drumming up business that wasn't good for us. It was compromising our sanity. So just throwing that out there. I've learned to say no.
Yes, that is a big thing for you all. Because we're getting into business planning season. So as you're business planning for next year, you take into account for fallout rate. If you need to close 10 transactions, that means you need to put 15 or 16 under contract, right? If you need to have 8 appointments, that means you need to schedule 12 appointments. Like, you take into account for fallout. So at the first sign of somebody is not showing you that they're serious, cut it off and move on, because the energy that you're giving to somebody that is not serious, that's not ready to go, is going to drain you. It's going to make you feel like you don't want to do real estate anymore. And it's taking your attention away from somebody that really needs you to help them purchase a home. right? I know when you're new, and like you just said, Jeff, when you're new, you feel like you have to chase everything. No, that you don't have to. You get the things that the people that's ready, because at the end of the day, you're going to show people 15 homes and they're ghost you. It's not getting you no closer to your goal than tell them, hey, you know what? I'm not the agent for you right now. Maybe I can connect you with an agent that best fits your needs, and then refer them to somebody else. Okay, John, go ahead.
Thank you. Hang on a second. Yeah, this actually triggered me too. It's reading this. I'm a new agent. Probably 3 months ago, I got licensed. 2 months ago, I got my first transaction as a buyer. Actually, somebody I know, a friend of my wife's. Anyways, I learned so much. You know, it's like you learn everything. You don't know what you don't know, right? Until you do. And that's the best way to learn, I think. I learned so many valuable lessons. But to your point, is determining the motivation. Number three is not only does that help you with your relationship with that person because you're actually genuinely concerned and you care and you repeat it back to them. But what I found is that buyers get freaked out and they start, you ask them exactly what they want and you send them listings, what they're looking for. Next thing you know, they're on Zillow and they're sending you, what about this house? And none of the stuff they're sending me was anything like what she told me she needed to have. So I had to use her own words to reel her back in several times. So that's why I'm saying this will help you there, because sometimes you got to bring them in and say, look, we need to sit down. If anything's changed since the time that I spoke with you, like you told me you wanted this because of this reason, this was important to you. These were the three things that you had to have. And remember we talked about that? Okay. And then here's the three things that you said that were so you just kind of like bring them back to that and snap them out of whatever they're going through right now and say, look, I'm going to help you find your dream house, what you want, and we're going to find it. Okay. But you just have to you got to trust me and trust us working together. So that was a big deal. And I learned a lot about that. That was very helpful. And of course, getting them pre-qualified with the bank in the beginning, that's your qualifier right there, how serious they are.
Yep.
They have to go through all the stuff with the bank, and if they're not willing to do that and get them that, then there you go. There's your answer.
And that's the reason why we dig deep, because you're gonna get somebody that sends you a property, and this happened to me. So this is a story I'm sharing that happened. They were pre-qualified for like 350,000. They were sending me properties that were 600,000-700,000. Like, hey, we want to see this, and I'm like, well, I'm looking at your pre-approval, and your pre-approval said that your max is 350,000. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see that property because it is not. We don't make it seem like they can't afford it, even though it says in plain sight 350, 700. Like you can't afford it, but it's like, hey, this is not a part of your criteria. So let's just stick to what you said that you're looking for, and that's what we'll go. That's what we'll go see. But you will have people that do that. And again, you are not a door opener. You are not a professional door opener. That is not your job, just to open doors. Your job is to educate and get people to the finish line through the whole process, not just there to open the door. Some people will look at us as, oh, you're just to open the door. Okay, well, go find somebody else to open the door for you. But guess what?
Right.
I am not finna take time away from my family, my daughter, to go open the door for you for someplace that you don't have the pre-approval for. So again, we want to make sure we stay on top of that. Okay. Let me see. Should you ask your potential client what they approve for before or after they become? So here's what so we're gonna go through this when we go through the presentation. But I'll just say this: when I first talk to somebody, I say, "Have you spoken to a lender?" If they say yes, okay, could you send over the pre-approval that you got from the lender and the lender's information? Because what I like to do, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is I like to be on the same page with the person on the team. So I want to have a conversation with our other team member so we can be a cohesive group to get you through to the finish line. If they haven't spoken to a lender, hey, first thing that we need to do is have you speak to a lender, because you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I would hate for us to go see a property that you fall in love with and your kids fall in love with and you're not able to purchase it. That is one of the worst feelings to have. So let's get the pre-approval done first, then we can go and start shopping for homes. You create what the negative effect has on them. Like, hey, you will feel horrible if you go walk through this house with your kids and it's not something that you can purchase. So let's do the right thing first and get you pre-approved. Okay. Yep, Stephanie.
I have a question and maybe you can give me some guidance. So I'm a new agent as well. Just a few weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And my daughter was waiting for me to take the test and become licensed because she wanted to buy a house for herself and my grandchildren. And the minute I got licensed, she was showing me homes, sending me home. She want to see this, she want to see that. And I'm like, okay, great. As soon as I find a brokerage, then I can, go through the steps, join the organization, get Bright MS, just to be able to get her in the door to see these properties. Well, in the meantime, I don't even know who she spoke with. She spoke with someone from somebody's lending company. I don't even know where this person came from, that told her that it would look better for her if she had some credit information far as rental history from an apartment for a year before she decided to buy. Even though she had money to buy, she listened to the other person instead of me as her mother or an agent, and went and got an apartment. And I was just like devastated. The next thing I know, she's signing a lease before I even got a chance to get access to the Sentry locks in order to get her in. So in a situation like that, what would be something that I could say to the next potential buyer that's listening to someone else to tell them it's better for them to rent instead of to buy?
Well, so first I will say this, as opposed to the situation with your daughter, as a father to a 24-year-old and soon to be 9-year-old, they want to feel that independence at some point where they were like, well, she went and did it on her own. So that's that. For the second part, it's again, it's just saying, okay, could you give me a little bit more information about that, Stephanie? Why did they tell you you need to rent first? What was their reasoning behind that? And then it's going to get you to think, it's going to get the client to think like, well, they didn't really tell me a reason, or they say, oh, well, it will help me with the purchase. I'm like, well, Stephanie, this is what I think you should do. Let's talk to a professional in the lending field that can tell you what is right. And I would say get multiple opinions. I would say talk to 2 or 3 lenders and get their opinion to see what is the best option for you. And don't just take what this person said. Let's see what our options is and weigh all of our options, see the pros and cons of everything. Then we can make a conscious decision.
Understandable. And she's 38. So she's had multiple apartments. So this wouldn't have been like her first one. And she had just gotten to a point where she had got her credit, up to 650, where she could qualify for a loan for a home. And so I don't even know why this person would, have mentioned go rent again. To me, it didn't make sense.
Well,
So, but
it's probably a situation where they wanted to get the transaction and they know if they told them to purchase that she would go to you to do the purchase, so they just wanted to get something in. So again, it's just getting your feet in under you. You'll be able to maneuver through that, but again, it's always saying, hey, let's look at the pros and cons of everything, and then let's make sure that we can weigh the options of everything before we make a decision.
okay, so to tell the next potential buyer to, I guess, get a second opinion or
Yeah.
a third opinion from
Yep.
multiple people. Okay, I got
Yep.
it. Okay.
Yep. Yes, it's being recorded, and you'll get the recording at the end of the week. Yep. Got you. All right, let's jump in. So now we're going to go into the closing. So again, everything we do, we want to make sure that we have a we want to close for the appointment, right? So here are the 7 closings. 7 close to appointment tactics. So you have 1, show the benefits. In general, people are more likely to go along with something you suggest if you explain the benefits to them. Here's the example they give. If spending 30 minutes with me could save you hours of time and thousands of dollars in your home search, would it be a benefit to you? Perfect, let's meet. So again, we're showing what's benefiting them. A lot of times, again, everybody want to know what's in it for them, right? Hey, what's in it for me? Why should I do this? Okay, here's the benefit why you should meet with me, because I can save you hours of time and thousands of dollars if we meet together. The second one is the take back close. This technique puts a tempting offer in front of the buyer, then creates a fear that they may not be able to get it. So the example they give us, I've enjoyed talking to you. To be honest, I don't know whether I can be a help to you or not. However, I'd be honored if we can meet to find out. How about we meet tomorrow? This is one of the ones I like working with sellers as well too. Of saying, hey, to be honest, I don't know whether I can help you or not, but how about we get together and we can decide on that, right? The next one is the negative positive. The negative positive take back. Hold on, somebody's trying to get in the room. There we go. The negative positive take back close. This is a way of backing into the appointment to close. Would you be offended if I asked if we can meet to go over all this in a little more detail? I'm free tomorrow. What time works best for you? Now, here's the thing. Let me pause and say this. You can use all 7 of these in one single conversation. That's the beauty about keeping this in front of you when you're having conversations with people, because what we know is we should be asking for the appointment at least 5 times. When I first got into real estate and I joined Keller Williams, my old mentor, he told me, keep 5 pennies at your desk when you're calling people. Every time you ask for an appointment, you move 1 penny to the other side. When you ask for the appointment at least 5 times, unless they hang up the phone on you, then it's okay for you to hang up the phone. But you need to ask for the appointment at least 5 times. That's why it's great to have the different type of closings, because you're hitting them from different angles to be able to get the close. The next one is give them what they're looking for. Quickly pique the buyer's interest by giving them what they're looking for, information on interesting comparable properties. The script they give us, it says, yes, let's meet at my office. I can give you the specific details about that property and let you know about similar properties that's also for sale. What time works for you? Great, see you then. Okay. Then we have the trial close. Trial close test the waters first. You should find out whether you and the client genuinely agree. The script they give us, can you see how receiving a list of all the new homes on the market in your price range will help you in your home search? Great, let's meet. The assumptive close. This is another one of my favorites. Assumptive close assumes the close and prevents them from saying no. It sounds like we should meet. I'm available most times this week. So what works best for you? Great, see you then. Then the last one is the tie down. The tie downs are phrases that ask for confirmation. Expressions like, wouldn't that be great? Or forming questions with, can't you? Isn't you? And wouldn't you? Ask for agreement and get your customer into a pattern of saying yes. The script they give, we'll save hours on your home search if we meet in the office first. Saving time is important to you, isn't it? Great, let's meet. So that's, again, we're putting everything on them. Our whole job is to make sure that, hey, I'm helping you solve a problem, right? Our job, so let me tell you this, our job is to solve a problem that they have. Their problem, they have 3 things they want to do. They want to purchase a home in the quickest amount of time with the fewest amount of houses for the least amount of money. Those are the 3 things that they're trying to do. So whenever we're doing our closings, we're tying our closings around solving those issues for them. Okay? Next, we have buyer objections to the appointments. When buyers object to meeting with you, what is your what is your first thoughts? Like rejection, defeat, or what is something that come to mind if you ask for the appointment and they reject you? Somebody share.
That they're not ready.
That's it.
That you're okay. Somebody said that you're new, embarrassed, that they're not ready.
He always asks, help me understand.
I like that. Yeah. Here's the thing. What we have to remember is, for one, we shouldn't feel embarrassed. We shouldn't feel, any of those things, or like I'm new. Again, we just haven't piqued their interest yet. Remember, we have to pique their interest. We have to figure out what's important to them. So what we do is then we go into, like you said, is we ask questions. So the next part is ask questions. So what they tell us is we investigate deeper and ask, tell me more about that, or help me understand. I use that all the time. You know what? Could you clarify that for me? Could you help me understand? Hey, can we dive a little bit deeper into that? Can you explain to me why, you feel like we shouldn't meet? Right? We want to get more clarity, so we want to dive deeper into it. And then we want to empathize with them, acknowledge and say, I certainly understand how you feel. We never tell people they're wrong, right? If they tell you 2 + 2 is 20, you say, you know what, I completely understand about that. But let me show you this to see if we can, if you can see my point of view. Right? We never say people, already know how people are with ego, right? So we never tell somebody wrong, yet we clarify things for them to help them out. So we empathize. I certainly understand how you feel. I totally get that. And let me see if I can explain this to you in a different way. Or, okay, let me answer any questions you may have. And then that's what takes us into identifying the real issue. Restate what you heard and ask for confirmation. As a coach, I use this with my coaching clients all the time. I say, hey, what I'm hearing you say is ABC. Okay, what I think I just heard you say is blah, blah, blah. So again, we want to identify what the real issue is. We want to clarify that. Here's another reason why we do that. We isolate the issue because people may have all these thoughts in their mind. So we isolate it. Okay, John, what I'm hearing you say is the reason you don't want to meet with me is because you had a bad experience with an agent once. Is that what I'm hearing you say? And now I'm isolating John to like, yes, that is what I'm saying. Okay, perfect. Now I can offer a solution for that, which is the next part is offer the solution. Well, John, I can totally understand that agent, left a sour taste in your mouth. And let me be honest with you, John, I hate working with some agents too. Like, trust me, I know I have to deal with them on a daily basis. So I understand your frustration with them. But what I can tell you, John, is that when you work with me, you're going to get a perfect. And then now I'm going into my thing. So I isolated what the issue is. I figured out what the issue is. I offer the solution. And then I want to urge an agreement. Then I'm going to go back into asking for meeting. So I'll say, John, if what I just explained to you about how I'm different from that agent you previously worked with makes you feel confident and comfortable that you will meet with me, I still have these times available. Which one works best for you? Right? So we ask questions to get deeper into it, to get an understanding about it. Then we empathize with them. I totally understand. Then we go on to identify the real issue. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is A, B, C, and D. Well, you know what? Let me offer you a solution to that, and then I ask for the appointment again. Okay. Yep. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You just reminded me, I've been in sales my entire life, and I trained many, many salespeople being sales manager. And the old school way of selling was, they have their seller tactics and buyers have their buyer tactics, right? And you're trying to figure out how to combat each other. But what you're talking about right now is definitely the best way, which is the new way to sell. And it has been for the last 20 years, is get on the buyer side of the table. And that's what you just did. You're getting close to them and you're overcoming the objections. And then you want to get on their side of the table so that you're acting as a co-buyer versus a seller versus a buyer, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's definitely the way to do it, 100%.
Yep. And then you're gonna come across some people that's just not ready to work with you right then and there, which is fine. So what you do is you say, hey, you know what? I totally get it that right now isn't the best time for you, but here's what I'll do. I'll keep you updated of what's going on in the market. I'll let you know, hey, any shifting things, have things changed? I'll just keep giving you information. So if you do decide that you want to, to move forward and work together, I will at least have kept you up to date of what's going on. If they ask you how will you be different from the other agent, again, here's the secret to all of this. Here's the magic pill. Keep your word. Communication. If you interview a lot of people who had a bad experience with real estate agents, their number one thing is their communication, and second is they didn't keep their word. So, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Bayo, here's what makes me different. I am going to over communicate with you. You're going to get so tired of me, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure you know everything that's going on, and I'm going to answer questions for you when when you have them, because again, I want to make sure you know what the market is doing. So be prepared for me to be in communication with you, and then any issues that come up, I am going to address them right away. Because again, communication is one of the biggest reasons why people have issues with with their clients. Okay. All right, any other questions or are we good to go? So you can get, so when you're talking to them and they say, hey, you know what, I'm looking to be on the south, if I do purchase, I will purchase on the south side or whatever. I'll go into the MLS and I'll pull data from that area that they're looking for, and then I'll provide them value with that. Okay. And then next part. Well, ahas from this section. Any ahas or takeaways?
Hello?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay, Job Feek. Roberto, how you doing, man? We're in the same office. You know me as Wayne. Anyway, I had my license for NIM. It's going on 2 years. And unfortunately, about 9 months ago, I had a little situation. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I had that little operation, but I just got back into the office, so I've been out for 9 months. So the first year and 3 months, I did sell one property, but now just listen to, during the meetings, listening, really listen to other people's experience and what they did and didn't do. It does give you a whole lot more confidence, and you realize that I believe you just have to, like you say, follow the scripts. And of course, you got to get out there and put forth, put one foot in front of the other, right?
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. When people say they don't want to use scripts, everything is a script. When you go to a when you go to a restaurant, they have a script. When you're dating, you're using a script. Everybody have their pickup line. Like everything is a script. Your favorite movie that you love, that you can watch every single day for the rest of your life, is a script. Your favorite artist, the favorite song you can listen to, is everything is a script. The problem is we don't learn the script, we don't internalize it, that where we feel like, oh, we sound like a robot. Well, guess what? They don't know what you sound like. They don't know this. There was an agent that at my old market center, he would say the same thing every single day, and he constantly capped. Hey, my name is such and such. Do you need a real estate agent? He used the same script and he sold millions of dollars worth of real estate. Everything is a script. Okay. Pauline?
I was gonna say one of the aha moment for me is like I'm a new real estate agent too. I just got my license like 2 weeks ago, and it was just the part that we are all talking. It's like the other lady was talking about how her daughter was waiting for her to get her real estate license, and pretty much it was the same thing for me. Like originally, I do interior designing and staging homes, and before I got my real estate, people were like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to get your real estate license. So then finally we can just go and see homes." And then you finally get it and you reach out to people and it's a different story. And then one thing that the last class that I did that I remember is like they said don't waste too much time on people who um who don't wanna, like, I guess, give you time with them. Give them time so they can process it themselves, because some people they want to move but they don't really know what they want until you show them. And then there are some people who are very like, I want this and this is what I want and I'm gonna go ahead and go for it. But I like all the input that all of you were saying, and as I said, this is a new career for me, so I'm learning, of course, of what everybody is saying, and I'm just grateful to be a part of this. Yeah.
And one thing I want to share for everybody, especially new agents, it's going to be hard at first, but we cannot have any emotional attachments to what's going on. We can, as far as if somebody decides to work with us, we can't have emotional attachments to it. If they work with us, great. If they don't work with us, great. Like we can't get attached to those things, because that is going to be things that is going to affect us. And at the end of the day, it don't matter how long you're going to have a real estate career, you're going to have people that's going to ghost you. You're going to have people that's going to not listen to what you say. You're going to have somebody that's going to buy furniture the day before closing, no matter what you tell them. These are just things that's going to happen. So the sooner that we are okay with, hey, I know that there's a possibility this transaction isn't going to close, or this person I spoke to is going to work with me, that's fine. I have no emotional attachments to it, and that helps you out. Oh yeah, people are about. One of my best friends, somebody bought a car before closing, and guess what? He made them take the car back until they closed on the property. And then when they close it, like, okay, you can go buy whatever car you want, but you have to take that car back. Okay, Aaron. Yep, humans are unpredictable.
No, real quick. My aha more than anything else is it's been doing this about 10 years, and still the biggest thing is keep your word. Keep your word, keep your word. If you're gonna do it, say you're gonna do it. And that's still the biggest issue, not because of not wanting to keep your word, but you're always hungry for more business. You're always hustling to get new business. You have a tendency to let whatever was going on by the wayside because of new business. You gotta stay on the follow-up, you gotta stay precise. And you gotta keep your word. If you're gonna have a late night, you're gonna have a late night. It is what it is. But if you're gonna say you're gonna do it, then do it. Whatever hoops you gotta jump through to make that happen, then it is what it is.
Yeah, and I will share this piece of advice. If you're gonna call somebody, and this is from experience, everything I'm sharing with you all is things that I did over my 18 years that I dropped the ball on. If you tell somebody you're gonna call them at a certain time, and make sure you can call them at that certain time, right? So what I started to do was, hey, you know what, Aaron, I'm gonna give you a call back a little bit later today. Is that fine? Because now he's not expecting a certain time, so he's not making plans in his evening to be available at the time. But he's like, okay, I know Jesse's gonna give me a call this evening, so if he make a call while I'm out to eat, I'm just gonna step away so I can answer the phone. But when we tell somebody I'm gonna call you at 6 and we don't call them at 6, they hold on to that, because they look at you, want them to look at you as a professional, as a business owner. So they're gonna look at you at, hey, you said you're gonna call me at 6, you call me at 7:30. They're gonna say it's okay, but in the back of their mind, they're gonna say, is this agent really trustworthy? Is this an agent that's really gonna keep their word? Because they say they're gonna call me at 6, but they call me at 7:30.
Mhm.
So we want to stay on top of that. All right, Karen.
Yeah, I just want to say that when I meet with my clients, one of the things that I ask them is what they look for in an agent. And they most always say communication. So that is key. The other thing is, I was listening to a podcast several months ago, and one of the this agent, she has she would ask them that if there's anything that she is not doing through the process, that she encourages her client to let her know. And something like she says, because I'm looking for an A+ rating, and if there's any point where I am not um, meeting your expectations, promise me that you'll let me know so that I can correct it. Something to that effect. And I also, third thing is I developed a sort of like a one-page letter about my promise to my buyers and my promise to my sellers, what I promise to do or what I would try to X, Y, and Z. So they, because there may be some sellers and or buyers who may be a little hesitant. So I kind of give them a promissory note, promissory letter. So just wanted
Yeah,
to-
that's so we're going to talk about that when we go into the buyer consultation part of it is a two-way street. Not only are you sharing with your client what they can expect for you, but we also have to set boundaries of what we expect for them from them too. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, here's what you can expect from me. And guess what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Here's my expectation for you as the buyer that I'm working with. Because again, communication is key for both of us. We want to be on the same page so we can make this an amazing transaction. Because at the end of the day, this is the biggest transaction they're going to have in their life. This is going to be the biggest thing that they purchase. So we want to make sure our communications is there. All right, Will.
Yeah. So just two things, because I think what the biggest thing to take away from for me is this thing where we have to constantly ask questions. You know, one of my lead mentor, he always told me, like, especially when I first started, because I've been in this since 2022, always ask questions, always find out. There's always more to find out, especially when you're trying to find the motivation. I had script practice yesterday with Pauline, who's also on here, and that was one of the biggest things was asking questions because we were talking about, hey, how's the market? You know, continue to ask questions about and just find out more information because the more information you find out, the easier it is to kind of, you know, connect with your client. And then the other thing was in terms of like the emotions part of it, because you talked about that earlier. I had a buyer client who, he didn't want to get a pre-approval letter for me to take him out to see properties. And that was something I like, look, it would be best for us to do that because of the reasons you mentioned earlier. I would hate for you to go see a property that you really like, that you and your kids like, and I don't know that you can afford that property. We don't have the paperwork, and then somebody else goes and makes the offer, then property's gone. You know, so like you said, take the emotions out of it. He actually ended up giving me an attitude and cursing out me and my lender, so we had to part ways. But it's part of the business.
Yeah, the more questions we ask, the better the outcome would be. I even do that with friends. Like when friends call me and say, "Hey, do you want me to respond as your friend or as the coach that I am?" Because if you want me to respond as a coach, be prepared that I am finna ask you some questions. I need to know the beyond the surface level. Everybody just answers surface level. So the more questions we ask, we can help them not only get the information we need, but we help them self-discover. When you constantly ask people the right questions, they start answering it they'll be like, well, you know what, now that I think about it, with you asking that, maybe it is this, and they'll start coming to a realization of things. So we got to ask questions. We got to get our emotions out of it. That way, we're able to keep the ball rolling. Anna, I saw you had your hand up. You still have an aha to share?
Oh, sorry. I guess I was playing with a button, but I'm actually doing my license, so I'm not even a real estate agent yet, just eager to start training. Although my current job is in sales and client relation management, so I guess my something that I've been practicing in my current job is, and being many times a buyer and seller of houses, because we moved around a lot within the United States and outside the United States, is well, for one, is understanding motivation of the buyer or seller, or especially buyer, because I've been there when you said that, when we were just just looking what's out there, and we were not really ready to buy. And so now I see, yeah, it's my bad. I take full responsibility that we were playing it, I guess. So that's really important. Another thing is building this close relationship by asking questions, listening to the customer, because that's, I mean, so many people like to be listened to. They want to know that you care. You're not there just for the money, and that will take you places for sure. And another point that you mentioned, and I know from our experience, is post-sale care or relationship with the buyer. Because we bought a house we've spent half a year with our agent looking for a house. We got the house. It was a good, quite pricey one. And then a few years later, we're selling it. Throughout the time after we bought the house, we were asking different questions, our agent, silly maybe questions, and he would respond. Well, he wasn't that fast to respond, or he didn't care, or he didn't forgot to respond. And guess what? We listed our house with the sellers, the initial seller's agent. So because we thought, he doesn't care. He just got his money and now he doesn't care. So those little things. And we had really silly questions because we just didn't know. We were in a new state, new city. And, so this is really important, this keeping with the buyer after sale, or keeping with the seller after the deal is done, because ultimately, if not them, they will, they can suggest you to their friends, colleagues, and so on. So it's just I think a normal rule of any sales business.
Yeah.
So that's a moment. Although I'm not yet a real estate agent, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you're working on, and the beautiful thing about it is that you're learning the process before you even get there. So that's going to help you out. And you said something, and it was in the chat, active listening. We have to, when we're talking to people, we're listening to understand, not to respond. Like, we have to actively listen, because you can miss a key component of what your buyer is saying, and you miss it, and it could be something that you didn't pay attention to that was important to them. And then when it comes, that conversation come back up, and they'll say, well, remember I told you this. And now you have to be honest, say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. That is going to create a thing where now they feel like they can't trust you. So we're listening. Take note. People love to see when somebody is taking notes when they're talking. Like, I know people that feel like they don't want to take notes. Even as a trainer and as an instructor, I tell new instructors, like, write stuff down. People want to know that you are paying attention, because if you write stuff down and you didn't remember it, and that conversation come back up, guess what? You still have your notes to go back to and say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, hold on 1 second, because I was taking notes. Let me just go back and double check. Like, you take notes for everything, and that lets people know you care. When I reaching out to people and I following up, I would say, hey John, on October 12th, it was around 2:30 p.m. We talked about A, B, C, and D. How is everything going with A, B, C, and D? Now John is gonna be like, damn, you remember the date and time and the actual conversation that we had. That also goes into when you're following up with leads. Write down what they talked about, and when you follow up, because one thing about following up, don't just say, hey, I'm just calling to check in. Stop saying I'm just checking in. Call and say, hey, I remember on October 5th we talked about your kids, we're getting ready for the Halloween party. How was the Halloween party? How did that go? You showing that you care. You're following up with something of importance to them, that they know, okay, this is somebody I want to work with. Okay. The next part we go on to, so we went for that, and now we're going to prepare for the actual buyer consultation, right? Buyer consultation preparation checklist. Confirm the date and time. We know people will ghost us. You can never over-confirm appointments. 24 hours before, 12 hours before, 2 hours before, 30 minutes before, 10 minutes before. Hey, this is our 10-minute countdown. Do not just think that you schedule an appointment that they're just going to show up. Don't think you schedule an appointment and you give them a 24-hour reminder that they're going to remember. The funniest thing, and this is me, so this is how I know other people do it. I have a Zoom meeting at 7 p.m. I'm on TikTok at 6:50, and I look up like, oh damn, it's 7:10. I was supposed to be on this meeting at 7 o'clock. People get lost in doing other things, so we have to constantly remind them. Hey, this is just a courtesy reminder to let you know that we're gonna meet. Yeah, you have to constantly remind them. You have to confirm. Second part, confirm appointment location. If you are meeting customers, you are meeting clients, confirm the location. Again, for me, everything is being via Zoom. And I always say, hey, you know what? I want to make sure that I am saving you time for you not having to drive anywhere. Our meeting will be virtual. Okay. Ensure all decisions will attend. This is very big. We're not talking about listing appointments. Y'all are going to talk about that, I think, tomorrow. Every decision maker needs to be there, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, big Chicago Bulls fan. You don't want to pull up Michael Jordan numbers and then they say, oh, well, I'll let my spouse know when they get here everything you said. They are not going to articulate and say everything you said. So if I'm reaching out and I'm confirming, I say, hey, will your spouse be there? And they say, oh, you know what? My spouse ended up having to stay late at work. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and reschedule this appointment, because I think it's important that both of you all are there so I can answer any questions that you all may have. That way we're all on the same page. Let's look at some different dates for us to meet. I am telling you now, if you give a presentation to just one of them, they are not going to articulate what you said and explain what you said the exact same way to their spouse. Exactly. You hit a game winner with 2 seconds left, and the person that needed to see it wasn't there. So we make sure that both decision makers are there. Complete your buyer guide so you can do that, and then prepare the meeting space, review the lead sheet. Okay? All right. Top 10 service areas of the buyer value proposition. So your value proposition is how you're going to help them solve their problems. Remember, that is what you're going to do. My job is to help you solve your problem. How much time? I'm sorry, let me read that real quick. I usually set it for 45 minutes to an hour. That way, because my thing is, by the time we get done with our consultation, you should know everything in the process, and I am sending you over the buyer broker agreement you should sign. So I want to make sure you understand everything. Here's the thing I want you all to remember when you're having your appointments. I'd rather spend a lot of time up front getting clear understanding instead of having to revisit these things down the line because I didn't explain the process to them correctly. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we're scheduled for 45 minutes, but I allocated time for us to be an hour, a little bit longer, because at the end of the day, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I want to make sure you walk away from this appointment that you know you can trust what I say and you have confidence and you're comfortable in working with me. So any questions you have, we're going to get these questions answered before we get off our Zoom. Is that fair enough? And they like that, because a lot of times people are scared to ask questions because they think these are things they're supposed to know. And my thing is to remind them, like, hey, You are not supposed to know all these things unless you are an investor or somebody that buys properties often. There's things you're not going to know. And again, do not get off this call with me, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you are not 100% confident and understand the process. Because then my job is not done if you don't understand what we're doing. Okay? So the buyer value proposition is your needs analysis, pre-qualification or pre-approval. Explain it to them. If they haven't talked to the lender yet, we explain to them the difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification. I just tell them plain and simple, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you need to get a pre-approval. A pre-approval, they are looking at your documents and they're getting the ball rolling. A pre-qualification is you just telling them something and they're taking what you say and they say, okay, you're qualified. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if I am a listing agent and I see a pre-qualification come up as opposed to a pre-approval, I'm letting my seller know like, hey, I don't have enough confidence in this one because they are not approved. They just qualified off of the information they verbally shared to the lender. The pre-approval, they gave the lender documentations that they needed to get approved, the pre-approval. So we explain that. Get neighborhood information, home search, make an offer, buy and negotiate things. Like we're going to go through all of these things. Okay. So what I do want to share with you all is I want to share my questionnaire. Hold on. Let me get back here. So let me exit out of here. So this is what I send to buyers prior to us meeting because I want to make sure I have all the information. So share my screen. Share screen, share. Can you all see that? Okay, perfect. And then I'll put my contact information in the chat box before class is over. If anybody wants this to be able to duplicate it and use it for yourself, change it up, just let me know. So I have them answer the question. Could you pick what's best describes your buying needs? So I let them answer the question on if they are a buyer, B buyer, or C buyer, right? Of course, you want their name, phone number, email address. Then I ask, who will be involved in the purchase decision? Again, we need to know who is the decision makers because they need to be a part of the consultation. After that, choose current living situation that best applies to you. I need to know this because I need to know what we're working with. If they're a renter, I'm going to follow up and say, when is your leases up? If they own a home and need to sell, I want to prepare to do a buyer consultation and a listing presentation, right? Own a house and selling isn't needed. Okay, I'm not going to really push for the seller, the listing appointment because they really don't need to sell. And then living with family and friends. Other part, what is their preferred method of communication? That is important because again, if this person is a texter, I am not going to constantly call them. If this person is a phone person, I'm not going to continuously text them. I'm going to communicate with them the way they want to be communicated with. Then it goes into, have you spoken to a lender? If so, can you give me the lender's information? If they say no, I am going to connect them with my lenders. Then I'm going to ask them, what's their property type? Condo, townhome, single family home, multi unit, or co-op. Okay. Now, these next two questions are important questions to ask. What is your ideal purchase price range? And what is the highest you are willing to spend monthly? Here's the reason why you want to know that. Because depending on if there's a HOA, depending on how much the taxes is, their purchase price can be a little bit higher if there's no HOA and their taxes are low for that area. So that means their monthly payment is going to be still low. Don't matter if they go a little bit higher on the purchase price, right? You guys understand? So if they say, "Oh, well, I don't want to spend more than 600,000," okay, perfect. I totally understand that. My next question to you is, what is the highest amount you're willing to spend monthly, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Because here's the thing. If I can find you something for 650,000 and the monthly payment is still lower because there's no HOA and the taxes is not crazy, would that still work for you? You know what, Jesse? I didn't think about that. I was just thinking about the purchase price. Well, that's the reason why you're working with me, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, because I'm going to explain the whole process to you. Okay? And then now we go into what are they looking for? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Now, this question is funny. People laugh when they see this. Bed size and bedroom set. Here's the reason why I asked that. If you have somebody who just purchased this lavish big old bedroom set, I don't want to show them houses where the bedroom is small. Now they have to make a decision if they're going to get rid of their bedroom set. They got the California King with the arches connected to it, and they just got all of this amazing stuff. Well, I need to know that so when I'm looking at properties, I can highlight and say, hey, well, you know what? I just want to bring this to your attention, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. The primary bedroom is a little bit small. I'm concerned that if there's an issue with your bedroom set, I don't know if you want to get rid of that. Is that something that you're okay with? Again, our job is to make sure we make this process so smooth and easy for them. Okay? Sherry, go ahead.
That is so funny because I did a showing for an agent in my market center, and the client had just purchased a huge bedroom set, but it was a canopy set. So the home we were looking at had all the features that she loved, but the bedroom ceilings were a little too low for her canopy bed. And that was the one thing that made her pass on the unit, was because she had just purchased it. It was a canopy bed, but the ceilings were too low to accommodate the new furniture. So that is a absolute valid question to have in that form for your pre-screening. Like I think that's excellent.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I am using my experience of what I've dealt with past clients to know, okay, I need to make some changes in my, in my meeting with them. Again, in real estate, I want you all to remember this. You never have fails in real estate. You just have stuff to armor you to move forward. I call it your realtor toolbox. Whenever something goes wrong, now you know, okay, if this situation comes up again, I know how to be ready for it. I had a situation where this had literally happened. They had a brand new bedroom set and they were so hurt that they had to get rid of it because I didn't ask them about the bedroom set. So now I asked everybody about the bedroom set. Okay. And then, yes, you know what? Thanks for saying that. I'll actually throw the link for this in the chat, and then you can just copy and create your own from it. Okay. I'll do that right now so I don't forget. Copy, bring it here, paste. There we go. All right. Thanks for that idea. That was perfect. All right. So then I asked him about the basement. And then I asked him about basement type. Do you want a finished basement, partially finished basement, or unfinished basement? Because here's the thing. We don't know if they have some where they want to create a gym in the basement. They want so I need to know what type of basement space are you looking for. Now I know some people in some areas they don't have basements, and I teach this and they be like, what are you talking about basements? We don't have that. But for us, we have basements. So I want to know if this is something they're looking for. Garage. How many garage spaces do you need? Because some people have multiple cars. And there's some people that my cars have to go in the garage. Especially here in Chicago, we have rough winters. I need a garage, and it has to at least be 2 garage spaces, right? Home style. Do you want modern, vintage, or it really don't matter? Now, this question is really not that important, but it is, because you're going to have buyers that's going to say they're looking for vintage. And then when you finally go walk through properties, they're going to say, you know what, Jesse? Vintage really isn't for me. I think I need modern. So this is just to give us an idea of our starting point. Pets. People love their pets. Figure out about their pets. Ask what their pet's name is. I will say this, and it's funny. Some people love pets more than they love humans sometimes. So we want to make sure we know the pet's name, and we can, again, we're showing that we care. We're showing that we want to really have this partnership with them. Stephanie, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you to back up one, only because I'm a new agent and I don't know about everyone else here, but is there going to be a specific class in the future that's gonna teach us about the different styles of homes? Because my takeaway is that we've all just did an elaborate law class, but I have not learned about what's a Mediterranean style, what's a Spanish style, what's a modern style or contemporary style. Like I don't know what the different styles of homes are. So if I'm asking that on, say, like your questionnaire, and somebody says, "Oh, I want uh farmhouse style type of home," I wouldn't know what that is.
So Christina just put in there that there's a book of different type of home styles. I'll be very honest and transparent with you. Out of my 18 years, I don't even know all the different home styles. But I know in my market we have mostly bungalows. So I know what those are because in Chicago they are usually just made of bungalows. So it's going to be about when depending on your market in your area, you will start noticing all the same type of homes. You're not going to get places that have different type of homes like that because the builders usually build the same type. So that will be something that you will just, when you're doing previews, you will start getting more familiar with the different type of homes. Okay. All right. So pet size, pet names. Um, Pet size is important if you have somebody that's looking for a condo or townhome. Again, learn from my experience that a condo association was only accepting pets at a certain weight. The client was like, "Oh, my pet weighs that." Come to find out, the pet was more than that. So we want to know this up front because you don't want to show a client a property and their pet is bigger than allowed pet size, and now they're upset because they went and saw the property and they feel hurt. So we want to ask what the size of the pet is, so we can make sure we're not showing them properties that they wouldn't qualify for, because people are not giving up their pets, even for a house. Trust me, I've been through that situation, and they like, well, I'm just gonna have to find me another house because I'm not giving up my dog. So we want, instead of having to put them through that, we want to know that up front. How many people will be living in the home? I want to know this because if we see a house and the square footage is not right, I'll say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I just want to bring this up that with the square footage and the criteria that you said you were looking for, I don't know if it's going to work. What is your opinion on that?" I'm reminding them of what they said when we go see the properties. And then I asked them if stairs are an issue, because remember in the example I gave earlier where if they have a in-law that's staying with them or they just had hip replacement or knee replacement, is stairs an issue for you? Now we're going into area. What areas are you looking at? What is important to you about the area? Remember, we're not just staying surface level. Oh, you want to be in this area? Can you give me a little bit more insight of why is that area important to you? Are there any specific school districts that you're looking for? Then we go to property amenities. We're running up on time, so I sent the copy to this, but I just want to go ahead. So I want to highlight these two here. What is your birth date? Because again, we want to know people. So if I know their birthday is on Halloween, I'm going to send them a happy birthday text to let them know I'm thinking about them. The last question is for me to know what their personality type is. I want to know where they fall at on a DISC scale, right? I want to know where they fall. So I have them answer one of these questions, and that's going to tell me where they fall on the disc. So when you think about finding your ideal home, which method resonates with you the most? I prefer to have a clear plan and take decisive action, focusing on efficiency and making quick decisions to secure the best deal. If they click that, I know this person is a D. A D is somebody that makes decisions quickly. Okay, perfect. I know when I'm meeting with Scott and he's a D, I am not going to take him 20 pages of paper with charts and all that. No, I'm just going to get straight to the point so I communicate with him in his style of communication. I enjoy the process of exploring different homes and love to discuss and share potential finds with friends and family for their opinions. This person is an I. This person is an influencer. They like to be, they like to have fun. They like to have parties. Okay, now I know how they are. I take methodical approach, preferring to visit many homes to take my time to ensure that this environment feels just right. This is somebody that's a C. Okay, they are um, um, God, I'm drawing a blank. They are more structured, sort of say, right? Okay, and then next part. I like to gather all the relevant information about the property, neighborhood, and market trends to make a well-informed decision. This person here is a S. So this is the person I am going to have graphs for. I'm going to have spreadsheets because they love numbers. They love different colors. So now I know how to communicate with them. Okay. All right. Perfect. So now let's get back to this. Where's my thing? Da-da-da-da. Okay. So any takeaways from that section?
Real quick before you go too far,
Yeah.
do you have your survey link you can drop in the chat as well so we don't run out of time and forget to do your survey?
Um, I'll get
Or
that.
the QR code or something, we can scan it and do it just so we don't forget.
Okay, yeah, I'll grab that link and throw it in there. Any other ahas or takeaways from this section while I'm grabbing that?
Um, I haven't raised my hand, but I just want to say I like the fact that you created that page where they can go to and put their information in, because sometimes when you're talking to them on the phone or when you meet someone and you just introduce yourself that you're a real estate agent and you're interested in it, I feel like you can so much as ask them a few questions, but then they get opportunity when they get home, they have time to, fill all this information up and ask you all the question that they can they have for you, and then
Yeah.
fill all those up so you will have more information and more idea of how to, I guess, talk to them, to pull them in, and then whilst you are even touring the house with them, you can say, oh, you can see there's an area for your dog to run around, or all that kind of, you can bring all those stuff back up so that they feel like you're thinking about them, and they're like, oh, you know me so well, like this is what I'm thinking, even though
Yep.
you just met them like a few moments ago. Yeah, so I love that.
Yeah, because when you are talking to them and you're trying to ask these questions, there is a lot going on. They probably had a long day at work. They're already confused about the process and they're not able to really give you the answers that you're looking for. So you send them this in advance, they can take their time and go through it. They can really think about it. They can answer the questions. So they're giving you a lot of the answers that you need, and they're not feeling rushed or they're not feeling overwhelmed. Okay, go ahead, Alexis.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you and Pauline said. Like, I just appreciate how convenient it is because in my first buyer consultation, I did ask a couple of relevant questions. I asked the ones that really hit the note. I feel like my coach and my sponsor gave me like a couple of different questions. So I just it was like immediate. So I just picked the shortest one that hit basically everything I needed to know. But I definitely at the end asked about like 10 questions just to build rapport. Like, hey, how old are your kids? How is this? And the only thing that saved me, honestly, is because it was a family friend. I really did in the moment feel like if this was someone else off of work, they would have been like, oh my God, all these questions, versus just sending them the link. And they could have just filled that out and I could have got it and saved us both some time.
Yep. And here's the beautiful thing about it. You're going to get the full answers you need from them, and it's going to save you time doing the buyer consultation because you're not having to ask these questions. You're just going to review them. Okay, so I say it says that you're looking for 3 beds, 4 bath, perfect. Oh, okay. Your dog's name is Butch and he weighs. Okay, perfect. I got that. The reason why I asked that because I want to make sure the homes that I find you, the condos or townhomes that have HOAs, that we are in the guidelines. Like you're able to save yourself time and then highlight what it is that you're looking for with the questions from them.
Yes, and I do a lot of research on how to like better use my time management, and a lot of things always tell you to try to automate things. So this was like kind of like a real aha because it's like, oh, this just took out the whole. Do you have time for me to ask you these questions? Now I can just send you the link and it's just saving some time.
And so here's my key thing for them. I always put it on them. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I want to save you time when we meet. So I'm going to send you over a questionnaire to fill out beforehand because, again, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're a busy person. So fill this out and we'll go over those answers and then I'll explain the process to you.
Yeah,
Anthony and Tara.
it's an aha, but for me it was like, duh, like the form was right in your face. Why didn't you think of that?
Well, it's when you're just getting started or you operate a certain way, you're just in go mode. So you're just like go, go, go. And then the more you're in it, you're like, okay, I need to have systems and models in place because again,
Yeah.
I'm in the part of my life and career is if I'm taking time away from my family, it better be worth it. So let me put these systems in place. So if I am taking time away from my daughter, it's because I actually qualified this person that this is somebody I should give my time to right now. All right, Anthony, go ahead.
I don't know if it's like an aha, but I like how efficient the form is. I was wondering if you think it would be a good idea to add like a weighting system to each question, like how important is this to you?
Yeah, so that's the beautiful thing about it is you all got it. Add to it how you want to add to it for for you for your personality style. Like if you see that and you're like, you know what, I want to add this to it, then definitely do that. Again, in KW, our whole thing is models and systems. Our whole thing is you get the models and systems and then you put creativity on top of it. I just provided you with a model and system. Now you get creative and make it what works best for you to get the information you want. So yeah, add that to it because again, the more information you get, the better the process is going to be for you. All right, Tara, and then I'm going to go into the buyer consultation because I want to show you all my actual presentation too, so you all can just start getting ideas of what to put together. So go ahead, Tara.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, technical difficulties. So really, I just wanted to thank you for sharing that with us because I thought that I was pretty thorough, and now I'm realizing I am not as thorough as I thought I was, and I will be from now on. And I really resonated with what you said about, the cold and the brutal winters. I'm in New York, so I think you win. I think you have it worse. But I do have a client who, they were talking about like a 2-car garage. And when we first, started talking about it, it wasn't cold yet. And now I get it because it's already getting pretty bad. And then for you to say that, it's like, okay, well, now I understand why, you know, for one, I understand why it's very important to them. And two, I'm going to refrain from sending them anything else now. and I'm going to explain, I probably should tell them like, listen, I'm sorry for sending you the other ones. At the time it was much warmer and now it just hit me. Oh, that's why you want it.
Yeah.
So really being personal and, diving into it. Like that one is more obvious, but yeah, just thank you for everything. This was a huge wake-up call.
Oh, my pleasure. Again, I want to make sure that everybody, y'all gonna get tired of me saying this, but if you are taking time away for the people you love, the things you love, it has to be worth it. So for us to do that, we need to have things in place, systems in place. We need to revisit those conversations to make sure it's worth going away. And time is so short. Like for real, if I'm going to do anything, it better be worth me doing it, right? So this is why we putting these things in place so we can hey, I gotta tell my daughter, hey, I got an appointment, but guess what? I qualified them, and if I get this closed, guess what? We going back to Disney again, right? Like letting her know this is what we're doing it for, and I made sure this is somebody I should go spend time with. All right. So here's my buyer consultation. Everybody, I will provide a link to this. Now, Canva has kind of changed up, so I don't know. I should still be able to send you the link where you can make a copy and change it to whatever you want to change it to. Take my logo off, put your logo on there. These are my fonts that I had for my business, but change it or keep it. Take whatever I got and use it. I'm not a gatekeeper. Like take everything I got and just make sure you're using it. Okay. So my buyer consultation, the home buyers roadmap, go through here. Just information about me. And then agent core service. So I just give them an example, say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I am not a door opener. I don't just open doors. I'm gonna help consult you to a decision, help you search for properties, find the home, I'm gonna help you in the negotiation of the contract and in the process of closing the sale. Because here's the thing, with the changes that has been made, there may be situations where your buyer has to pay your fee, right? So we need to explain to them why if you have to pay my fee, this is why you're going to pay my fee because these are the services that I provide to you, right? Then going to say, hey, buy a questionnaire. So now I'm reviewing that questionnaire that I sent you all. This is where I'm reviewing the answers with them. And I'm going to say, hey, I got your pre-approval letter. Let's go over your pre-approval letter, right? And then after that, I update them on what's going on in the market. And I'm going to tell you why. They feel like they can offer whatever they want to offer. They feel like they can wait until the market crash, which they feel all this. So I am going to provide them with numbers. What Jay-Z say, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie, right? Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, here's what's currently going on in the market. Here's the home sale prices. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I heard you say that you want to wait until home prices drop. Well, if you look at this historical chart going back all the way to 1990, we are following that 4% trend line. We're a little bit higher, but guess what? If we do come down, we're still going to be in that same area. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, when you see where we did drop below that trend line, can we agree that these are when situations happen? In 2008, we had the financial crash where lenders was giving people loans that they shouldn't been getting. So we had the whole mortgage thing. That's what dropped the market. It takes some time for it to bounce back. When we get to 2020, it's actually weird that that's when the pandemic happened. But guess what? Home prices went up. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I hear you saying that you want to wait for the market to crash, but if you look at the historical data, even if something does happen in the world, you're not going to get the crash that you think you're going to get. This is the numbers you're showing them. You didn't make none of this up. This is the historical data of what's going on. Then after that, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, next on that is we're going to talk about inventory. You say you want to wait on the sideline. Well, my concern is if we continue to wait on the sideline, there's not going to be anything for you out there, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. A balanced market is 6 months. We're last year we were at 3.7 months supply. we are still technically in the seller's market. Some areas are going into a balanced market. There's some areas that's creeping up to a buyer's market right now in certain parts of the country. But overall, this is what those numbers are. So it's like, if you want to wait, the last time inventory shot up, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, was in 08 when we had the market crash. The last time inventory popped up was in 1983, between 1983 and 1993. Again, this is just a historical data, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, and you can use these same slides for your sellers. Next, we go into mortgage rates. Oh, well, I'm going to wait till mortgage rates drop down to 3%. You will never see mortgage rates going back down to 3%. I am sorry to tell you that. But what I will tell you is historical average from 1990 to 2024 is saying 6%. Historical average from 72 to 24 is saying 7.72%. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you're thinking you're going to get that 2-3%, I unfortunately, from what the historical number is saying from all the way back to 1972, you're not going to get that. So now you just educated them on why we can't wait around. If you see a property that you like, we need to pull the trigger on that. Okay. And then after that, then we go into just the home sales. This one I really don't go too much into, but just saying, oh, these are the home sales. Then first step, have your lender review your credit. So this is just me explaining to them the different type of funding, FHA, VA, conventional, or I'll say, hey, or you would do cash. Then I tell them to highlight the budget. So I'm setting that expectation. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you do submit an offer on a property. I mean, you do get your offer accepted. There's an appraisal fee that you have to pay up front when the appraisal is done or before. Now, the inspection fee is something that has to be paid up front, but your attorney fee is something that's not paid until you close. Now, some states don't have attorneys, but for us, we are attorney state. So I'm letting them know what the cost they could occur, so it's not catching them off guard. Because again, we want to set that expectation, right? Then we'll go over going highlighting, okay, what are your must-haves? So this is me revisiting the questionnaire that they filled out. Okay, you said these are your top 5 must-haves. You said this is the area you're looking for. Is that still correct? They say yes. Okay, perfect. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, again, I am just not a door opener. For me to find you the perfect home, I am going to search online on the MLS, but I'm also going to search on market houses that's not on the MLS. Right? There's a private listing network. I'm going to reach out to my real estate friends that I know to see if they have any listings that's not listed yet that match your criteria. If so, I'm going to get us a showing. I am showing them my value. Hey, I am not just going to go on the MLS and look for stuff. If there's stuff that we can't find that you're looking for, I am going to cast a longer net to see if I can get what you're looking for. Then highlight. So if you see this slide at the top, it says visit shortlisted homes. We are not going to go see 15 homes, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. We're going to pick the top 5 to 10 because the way the market has shifted, we had to increase how many homes we're showing because there was a lot of multiple offer situations. Now, if you're not seeing a lot of multiple offer situations in your market, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we're going to see your top 5 to 6 homes. What happens is they see so many homes, they start all looking the same to them. They start getting confused, they start getting overwhelmed, and they get buyer fatigue, and now they want to sit on the sideline. So we're going to see the homes, your top 5 homes, and guess what, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? I am going to cross-reference what you said are your top must-haves and what you're looking for to the ones we picked to make sure it matches your criteria. So this is just going over the short list of homes. Make an offer. So, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, at this point in the process, you see a home you want, you're 100% sure about it, we're going to submit an offer. I'm going to run the CMA to make sure that we're offering market value. But If you see a home you like, we need to pull the trigger on that. Then review and sign the seller's contract. So this is when we're ready to submit the offer. Earnest money. So I let them know earnest money should be submitted 2 to 3 business days after accepted offer. Is anywhere between 1 to 3% of the contract price. I'm letting them know up front the cost that they're going to incur for the process of purchasing the home. Again, we're setting those expectations with them. I go over the attorney review and home inspection. Let them know that you have five business days for attorney review and inspection period. The stats is from Keller Williams. So if you go every mega camp and family reunion, Gary Keller and them go over the stats, and they provide the slides for us and KW Connect. So you can get all of those slides from KW Connect. We talk about get home financing. We talk about that process. Once you see the clear to close, we'll schedule the final walkthrough. Close on the property. So I'll just go over what the closing process looks like to them. And then next step, now we're going to review the buyer agency agreement. I'm going to answer any questions they have, and then we're going to start the home buying process. Then I'm letting them know up front. After we close on your property, if you need anything, you contact me because I am your go-to person. Okay? Yep, Constance.
I just have a quick question. I wanted to know, how do you go to all of your clients' closings?
I used to early in my career, but towards the back end, I didn't as much. You know, the attorney was there. If it was a family a family friend or family member or somebody, this is their first time purchasing a home, yes, I'm always there. For their
Okay.
first time home buyer, I am there to commemorate, you know what I'm saying, this
Yeah.
this thing for them. We're taking pictures, we're doing videos, because this is the first big step that they had in the process. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I was
Um,
just curious because sometimes it can get a little weird with that whole issue.
Yeah, I go on the first one. I just dropped you have to have a Canva account, but here's the link where you can copy it to yours and you can change it however you want to change it. Do whatever you want to do with it, change it, keep it, just put your logo and name on there. I don't care. You can have everything, okay? All right, so yeah, so that is the process. Now, I want to highlight some things before we jump off. And let me go back to it, what it was. So when we're going over when we're doing the final walkthrough, I'm scheduling the final walkthrough. If it's a afternoon closing, I'm scheduling the final walkthrough that morning of. If it's a morning closing, I'm scheduling the final walkthrough that night before. We're not going in there to re-inspect the property. If there are some things on the inspection report that they agreed to fix, that's the things we're looking for. We're making sure things are in the same place that it was when we first put the offer in, and that's it. I let people know, and I do this. You don't have to do this. It depends on your personality type. I tell people, do not bring anybody that's going to come in and nitpick the property. Because they'll bring their uncle that bought a house in 1963. He's gonna come in and he's like, "Ooh, I wouldn't. Why would you get that?" No, we're not doing that. This is the property you want. Everything went right. We're just doing a final walkthrough, making sure a pipe didn't burst. There's no leak. Nobody came in and did any vandalize anything. Everything looks right. Now we're on our way to closing. Okay. Any questions? I am sorry I'm over on time. Any questions or anything you all have for me? I'll stay on for a little bit longer if anybody, have any questions. But other than that, yeah, that's the process that I like to go to. Let me start recording first. Hold on.